We want to show you how to take care of your exterior door, and it's specifically the adjustable threshold. Now, one of the things that we ask in the fall and springtime is that you do an inspection on all of your swing exterior doors like we have one here. We have weather stripping that's on the sides, like we have here around the top, and then there's little pads on the bottom that also help to make sure that we minimize air infiltration into the home. All of our exterior doors that are contiguous with the interior of a home, finished space of a home, come with an adjustable threshold. And in this case, there's 4 screws that raise and lower this adjustable threshold to make sure that we have the proper seal between the bottom of the door and the threshold. In the summertime, what we find is that when warm, humid conditions, an exterior door will swell a little bit. And in the wintertime, as we get colder and drier, that door will shrink a bit, and that's why we have to adjust this threshold. When adjusting the threshold, the proper way to do it is to make sure that when you get down on your hands and knees and you look underneath it from the inside, that you don't see any light on the outside. Also, if you find that it's hard to close the door, your threshold may be too high and you want to lower it. A simple way to do that is to take a Phillips screwdriver and just turn the screws about a quarter turn each screw. And what you'll find when you do that, in this case we're lowering it because it felt a little high as the door was closing, and then we'll check that to make sure that we don't see light underneath. But as we close it, we want to make sure that the door doesn't bind, otherwise what it'll do is it'll damage this weather stripping down below. So again, that's attached to the door. So again, in the winter time, your door is going to shrink and it'll expose a gap underneath there and you'll feel cold air coming through. You can just adjust the screw and raise the threshold to get a nice, comfortable seal under the door. And again, in the summertime, when the door starts to swell and it feels like it's hard to open or close, you want to make sure that you lower that threshold so you don't damage this weather stripping on the bottom. Another thing for exterior door maintenance is, depending on your exposure to winds and rains, directional rains and the sun, we want to make sure that you have appropriate cover over your porch. In this case, this is a secondary service door in this particular home. We do have a porch roof that provides some protection for us, but in a case over here where we have another service door, this one goes to the garage. We want to make sure that anytime we have an exterior door and we don't have an adequate overhang over the top, that we would want to put a storm door on over the top of the door. Now in this case, this goes into the garage, so any water penetration that might go through this door is only going to go on the concrete. But in the case of a finished surface of the home, if we didn't have an adequate coverage over the top of the door, a storm door will help prevent and minimize any water from a wind-driven rain that might get into the inside of the home.